Tesla investors have some big questions right now. Will the affordable model boost Tesla stock in October? Does the stock right now have 100% upside? Or should you be on high alert? Why does the media keep lying about Tesla? And is Elon right about the coming robot abundance future? To help us dig into these critical questions, we're joined by Joe Bhakdi. He's an economist, tech entrepreneur, and tech analyst with deep insights on both the company and the rise of AGI. Check out his website at pioneerlands.net. This is one conversation. I think it's going to be very, very worthwhile. Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate you.
Great to be here. These are exciting topics.
I know they're exciting for you because I went to your YouTube channel and you've done a show on each of these questions.
That is correct. And we picked it on purpose. These are the big topics, both tactically on Tesla and strategically on abundance and robots. So we're excited.
Exactly. So let's go through each one of these and tell us your thinking. The first one is, do you think that the affordable model, when that is launched, is going to boost Tesla stock in October?
The short story is yes. I think it's one of the most underestimated alpha trades. I call it alpha trade because if you understand it, there's some knowledge that Wall Street doesn't have right now. And why do I think that? Because the affordable model combines being the easiest launch in Tesla's history, because it's not a completely new model. It's a stripped down Model Y. Doesn't make it easy because you need to strip down probably 8,000 costs or something, 5,000 costs. But at the same time, they had enough time to prepare that. The original launch was planned for July this year and was then, in my opinion, very purposefully delayed because of the big, beautiful bill. In case the viewers don't know about that, the bill said tax credits for EVs are expiring yesterday, September 30th. And that means Tesla gets a boost in sales for conventional Model Ys and 3s. And so they had to delay this whole thing, in my opinion. It's very likely they were ready to launch this thing sometime in Q3 and strategically delayed it because you don't want to cannibalize the run on your conventional models because the tax credit is now running out. Everyone is pulling forward demand. And then you go off a cliff, of course, in Q4. It's the perfect time to then launch the affordable model. And so the odds that it's being launched in October are super high because they're fully prepared, they're ready to scale this thing, and they cannot wait until November because then they don't get enough sales in for Q4 and it's going to be a disaster. So that makes it a very unique situation, very important launch, and the timing window is very predictable. And the conventional thinkers out there think, oh, Tesla's late again. But there was never a time in Tesla's history where it's less likely they are late than this launch. And that makes it a perfect trade storm. That is an alpha trade, like in a textbook. And I'm putting on some trades. I will have a video out today where I go into the technicalities. I had another one out yesterday explaining the reasoning, explaining the stock price targets I see for that very predictable move, in my opinion. And today I'm going to go in a separate video into the technicalities of it. I can't do it here. That's too complex, but it's about, do you go in with margin with stocks? Do you go in with call options and pay the premium? Or do you go short puts? The most risky trade, but the best economics. And that's an important decision. Of course, no investment advice here. This is all very dangerous, but I just share what I'm doing, and there's a huge benefit to that.
Okay. So a couple questions I want to clarify with you, right? So, you called it an alpha trade because of this knowledge that retail has that institutionals haven't actually, absorbed. But if you read all of the price target increases from the institutions, we did a show on that yesterday, they all mention, affordable model. They get that. That's a given. It's going to come out. However, some of them are already kind of preempting it, saying, yeah, it's affordable model, but it's just going to be a stripped down. Who cares? Unless they come out with a compact car, then I'll be excited. Versus I think you and I and others, we don't really care so much if it's compact versus sedan or whatever. What matters is price. If the price is $32,000, it's going to be huge. If it's under 30, watch out. This is crazy because the segment that people that will buy this is just skyrocketed. It's really about price, not so much about form factor versus these traditional auto guys. Unless it's a compact car, it's not going to be material. Yeah.
Exactly. So you need to snap out of it if you're a conventional Tesla analyst, because Tesla always played in this premium segment where features and looks and how you stand out is super important and price is not. Because if you compete against a BMW 3 Series or M3 whatever on Audi A4, no one cares if it's something is $5,000 more or less. They care about, but this Audi has like whatever, and the Tesla doesn't have it. I'm paying for 5,000 more for the Audi. Once you're in this massive TAM expansion, elasticity curve under 35,000, probably under 33,000, that's where it gets very juicy. Then people don't care about this anymore, because why is this so juicy? Because people don't have the money. They need it. They will not buy your car at 35,000. They will buy it at 32,000. And that tells you what you're dealing with. You are not dealing with being cool anymore. You're dealing with being affordable. And so I think what I'm watching out for is not how this thing looks like and how cool it is. I'm only watching out for the price. If Tesla comes out and says, here's the affordable model, we launch it next week, and it's 35,000, I will be slightly disappointed, because I know what that means. You just expanded your TAM marginally. But if it's 32,000, you're getting right into this crazy curve. So the details actually matter here. Yeah. And by the way, why I like this, I just have to elaborate why I'm excited about October. Because there are two types of investing. Well, one is investing and one is trading. Now we are dealing with trading. So I'm an investor. I'm a long-term, big, fat, position investor, not in absolute terms, but in my relative terms in my portfolio in Tesla. But here's the thing. If you can predict with very high certainty and timing, so you have high confidence and a very narrow window of 2 weeks, even a 5% move and you're right, most people are not aware of that. If you would tell me, you can guarantee me, you're Herbert with a magic time machine, you travel to next Friday and you come back to me and say, Tesla will be at 445. Now it's at 436. And you just know it. I can make ridiculous amounts of money with that information. So that's what people don't understand. If you have extreme certainty, that is extreme amounts of money. So here, why I'm so excited, might be just a 5 to 10% move in total in these 2 weeks up. But it's
so the probability is super, super high. Yeah. So you're saying that it is, and I agree with you, right? Because I think most of us agree that the affordable model is very highly likely going to be announced in October, as opposed to not announced at all or not done this quarter,
not just
because
announced,
of
launched.
Launched, not just announced, launched, that people can actually buy it and people can be delivered this quarter. And then the show we did yesterday, you and I just did, you explained that you actually think that an announcement for the event will happen in next week, October. And then the actual event will happen
October 16th second week would be my best bet.
Yeah.
But you have to think about it probabilistically. There is a certain chance I put 20% chance that it actually launches next week. I would put a 65% chance, I thought through the chances, October 16th or 17th with an announcement 10 days earlier. And then there's a slight 15% chance it launches after the earnings call. Mm-hmm. But so the most likely is in the middle with an announcement next week of the event.
Gotcha.
I think that's the most likely scenario.
Yeah, love it. And you explained all that in the previous show, so I don't want to necessarily go into that. Okay, so is the affordable model going to boost Tesla stock in October? You're feeling very good about it. High probability it's going to be launched, and high probability that you still also think that maybe there's a 5-10% jump depending on price. If it's at 33 or under, that's what's going to matter more.
And then technical, I'm not into stock astrology too much, but when you look at the technicals, I think the 480 mark, the all-time high, is an enormous magnet. Once you have a run-up from here, 440 or something, it's very likely to go to 480, in my opinion, before earnings, if that happens.
All right. Okay, well, that leads us to the next topic here. You did a show, and the title was The Stock Right Now. Does the stock right now have 100% upside? What do you mean by that? It sounds juicy.
So here's how I approach valuations, especially with Tesla, where I think I have a pretty decent understanding of what's happening. We elaborated on this before. The difference between my approach and also CERN's approach, CERN Basher, one of the best analysts out there on Tesla, and conventional Wall Street thinking, not hedge fund thinking. These people don't tell you what they think. That's why they make money. But the analysts, here's the difference. For stocks that are disruptive innovation stocks, like Tesla or NVIDIA, by the way, or Palantir, all these stocks, you can't just look at the past and say, what's the price-earnings ratio and how did earnings evolve? Because they're more like startups in the sense that the vast majority of Tesla's future value comes from two revenue streams that don't exist today, Robotaxi and Optimus. And in that situation, to say, I'm completely ignoring them because they're at zero, means you're stupid. You're just completely running against the wall. You will be completely wrong about the future, and everyone knows it. So you need to find better ways of modeling that out. And you do it like you're conventional venture capitalists. You say, well, it's pretty clear what the plan is. It's pretty clear they've invested tens of billions of dollars into infrastructure and R&D and technology for both. It's not fantasy. They've invested tens of billions into this. And it's clear where they are at. They even launched Robotaxi in multiple pilots. So then you take these numbers and put them into spreadsheets and say, what is Robotaxi going to make me and when? And then you put bets on it and probabilities and say, well, it's going to happen. Definitely. It's going to happen in May, the inflection point, which I think, or November, or what? What about robots? How many robots do people need? When are these things technologically ready? How do the supply chains look like? And so on. And then you model it out and put in your numbers. And then you get the cash flows, future cash flows, all the way to 2040 I have in the model. And then you make a bear case. What is, in my opinion, the worst case? The bull case, what's my opinion, the best case, and what's the base case, a conservative estimate of the most reasonable case. Then you have the free cash flows and you discount them back. It's called discounted cash flows, right? So what is the total value of all cash for the next 10 years for each year that Tesla will make? And you discount it back with a discount rate, cost of capital, because you could also put your capital somewhere else. And then you get to a number. That's your market cap. You divide it by the number of shares, 3 point something billion. And then you have a share price. And then you put a risk on top of it. Like, what is the odds that all of this is not happening? So you'd further discount it with risk. And when I do this for each year, for my base case, I get to a number, which is the stock price. And then I take that stock price and draw a linear curve to the previous year's December stock price. And then I get a month by month price. And I know by December 2025, here comes the big reveal. Everyone knows it by now. But my future fair value, the true value of the stock, should be around $850, 847 right now. And if that is true, you can discount it down right to today, which is already very close. So it's 700 something. And then you look at the stock price and see, well, basically, this stock should be roughly 100% higher. And what's important to understand is 10-year discounted cash flows, further risk discounted with risk, is incredibly conservative. That's not like a crazy assumption. That's extremely conservative. So I'm already conservative with the whole method. 850 is the fully discounted future cash flows from 2026 to 2035 in my model. So once you know that, what does it mean? Is it my price target for this year? No, there's a big difference. This is the fair future value. That's where the stock should be. The price target is then, what do I actually think where the stock goes by end of the year? I think it's more like 550.
You have people though that will say, look, the stock has been flat for 4 or 5 years, and now you're saying, it's going to go up, right? There's no guarantee that it's going to keep going. It's going to go up.
Well,
how do you reply to that?
There's no guarantee that we wake up tomorrow alive. So there are no guarantees in life, but there is triangulation. There's a lot of evidence, and there are trajectories. So if you look at, especially with companies like Tesla, where no one would contest that over the last 5 years, enormous things have happened with Tesla, like enormous things, like AI explosion, full self-driving explosion, Optimus explosion. So the fact that the stock was flat or down is actually very bullish, right? If you have a stock going down and the company going up, it's only a matter of time when this has to reverse. And then you look at previous cycles of Tesla, 5 years is a very good time because it's building this giant base, and then you have the crazy breakout. It's about time for that. Plus the fundamentals point in this direction. So the technical argument is weaker, but the fundamental argument is just plug it in, look where Robotaxi is, look how they're expanding city by city. The forcing function, the wall, all these naysayers and doubters are going to crash in with their head is coming in May, in my opinion, where it's just not possible anymore to ignore it. And once you model this out, I think you can put on some very good trades and investments.
I mean, worst case scenario, Tesla's already making money on Robotaxi. There's already money. Of course, it's small amounts, but they can easily grow that. And then if they, worst case scenarios, they have drivers, just like Uber. I mean, that's the worst case scenario, but clearly.
we live
Yeah.
in the age of AGI. That's what we are doing in pioneerlands.net, like talking about the age of AGI, modeling all this stuff out, having great discussions with the smartest pioneers, right? That's what we are doing there. And that gives us an advantage, similar advantage to that you have, talking to all the best minds, right, in Tesla and FSD and everything. And, it's not just fantasy land. You have overwhelming evidence all over the place.
Yeah.
Where is FSD? How good is it? And then it's just a question of time when they can remove the safety driver on a technical level. And I think it's going to be this year. And then, it's game over. Because
even
what
if
people
it's not
also
this year. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And then you had another show that you did that said, should you be on high alert about Tesla stock right now? What did you mean by that? And
well,
what is
I
that
think, I outlined the affordable model launch. I think there's a tremendous opportunity to do a tactical trade beyond your core position. Not investment advice. This is all dangerous stuff. If it goes wrong, you really need to know what you're doing. But I'm going to do that. And I think you need to be in high alert because there's very clearly delineated upside. Like rarely in history of Tesla do you have such a clear window, in my opinion. But at the same time, I also did another video that I think a seasonal correction is in the cards, market correction. And of course, it always happens when no one thinks it's going to happen. It can happen anytime. I think now it's more likely to happen with the next Fed meeting, which is October 29th. So that's good for the window. But in October and September, you always have to watch out. So you're basically on kind of thin ice, in my opinion, on the market. But you have a very good opportunity with Tesla. And so the main risk is you're putting on the Tesla trade. I'm all right on Tesla. I nail it, but the market breaks down. And if the market breaks down, that's what a lot of Tesla fans don't understand. Tesla will just totally crash with 2x of the market. It doesn't matter what happens. Like it always does that. There's no way out because these are rapid short-term market crashes. If the S&P goes down or the NASDAQ goes down 10%, Tesla will fall $90. There's just no way around it. And so that's what makes it exciting, right? You have a very good chance if you put on this aggressive trade to make a lot of money, but you have to watch out hour by hour if you put it on.
And you're thinking specifically now, it's much more volatile today and much more something you have to be following closer than you normally would have been?
Yeah, I mean, if you just have even 100% of your money in Tesla stock, you don't have to worry. You just don't do anything. And it turns out to be great. But let's say you have 100% or whatever your percentage is in Tesla, and then you're putting on a leveraged trade because of the plan that I just outlined, then you have to really watch out what the market does because you have to pull out if anything goes wrong, and you have to do it within hours.
Okay, so you're referring to the options trading. If some people decide to do that, that's the one that you got to be careful about. High alert.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Which is always very important because you get easily bashed. You know how it is on X with our fans, right? Because if you say anything critical, they go all in. Like, Joe, you're a trader. Are you selling Tesla? It's like, dudes, I'm already 2x leveraged Tesla. If I go 3x leverage, I better be very cautious and pull back immediately if anything goes wrong, but only down to the core position.
Okay. And then you did another show. Why does the media keep lying about Tesla? Yeah, that's true. We see that all the time.
We had another Stephen Mark Ryan, the GOAT. Yeah. He had another video on some Bloomberg. What does he call them? Doomberg. Ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. They talk about FSD. Oh, robotaxis are coming, and they mention Tesla for like half a second. Don't even mention it. Show the screen. It's a 30-minute or something show. Yeah. And there's the Chinese, the Germans. And they literally don't talk about the one company that objectively has invested like 10 times the entire industry into this and leads everyone. Yeah. And so why are they doing this? What people have to understand with media, but also analysts and banking, these are not normal industries. It's not like phone makers who think, oh, Herbert doesn't like me anymore. We need to improve our phone. No, the media doesn't care if you watch them or not. It's a propaganda machine that knows its power that's being deployed in politics and in finance to enforce the owner's interests. They have zero feedback loop. If you say Doomberg is stupid, I'm not going to watch it anymore, they don't care. They're like, this is not our job to make you happy. Our job is to propagandize you. And so same with the analysts, right? They work for the banks. They don't work for you.
this is what you're thinking, because the absolute opposite is what everybody's saying. They're all saying that the reason why media says what they're saying, because they get more clicks, they get more views. If they say
Really not right.
the Tesla bashing, they'll say, if they said Tesla cars go on fire and then show this actually a Ford truck that did that, it doesn't matter to them. They'll get more clicks if they said Tesla.
That's a flat out line. You can go, if you want to understand power structures and media, don't even look at the little case, Tesla. Look at the big cases, Trump and things like that. Like, why did MSNBC and CNN decide to self-terminate in order to score political points? Like, that's not a business decision. They were willing to destroy their entire company just to, burn political capital and try to do something. And the same is true for Bloomberg and these people. They have vested interests who are in the conventional auto industry. They're getting paid a lot of ad dollars. And if you have the choice making more ad dollars and getting less views and destroying your reputation, of course, you take the dollars and destroy your reputation. Mm-hmm. I mean, not me. That's why I'm not taking dollars. But you know how it is. So it's very important to understand, like, the narrative that the media is just doing what gets clicks is a total lie. That's true for influencers. As long as they don't get paid off, then that changes too, but not for corporate media and not for banks. It's the same thing. Like, oh, why would the analysts do all this stupid stuff? Then we don't trust them anymore. They don't care if you trust them. That's not their job.
Yeah. They don't actually get paid if the stock is up or down.
No one measures them on, oh, were you right or not? No one cares.
So the part I can understand you saying is like, news organizations like Edmunds, right? Something like that, where they're paid by car companies. And if you look at, and CNBC, by the way, is paid by Ford. Like the biggest amount of advertisement dollars comes from these car companies. And so you can't say, Tesla, Edmunds will create a list and say the top 10 safest cars on Earth, whatever, globally, and Tesla doesn't appear at all, right? And it's also, you can't do that because their advertisers are these other guys. They cannot, Tesla doesn't advertise in their magazines. So,
and I can't overemphasize. There's like the surface level is, media companies want views and clicks. That's their base business. That's completely wrong. Their base business is getting paid, right? But that's not even telling the whole story. So getting paid explains why you never hear bad things about pharma on Fox, because it's 25% of the entire revenue. Yeah. And most of it is not even ads. It's so-called sponsorships. Like, put the Pfizer logo here. We pay you $1 billion per show. It's like, is that market price? Like, no, we just want to control you. Okay, fine. And so if you say anything bad, they pull it and you're dead immediately. So, okay, we figured that out. And so money is, of course, a corrupting factor, but that's not even the full story. If it's about money, why does Jeff Bezos buy the Washington Post and loses tons of money? He's not a dummy. He knew he's going to lose money, but he wants it anyway because it's called power. Bloomberg. Who do you think owns Bloomberg? It's a guy called Michael Bloomberg. Yeah, it rhymes. And so, of course, he is political. He ran for all kinds of things. Does he like Elon? Probably not. He's a competing billionaire who's also on the other side politically. He probably doesn't like him at all. And so then you have that whole thing going on. Same with Fox News and Rupert Murdoch. These are not just neutral businesses who want to make money. This is a central source of power in our democracy and in capitalism. You have to just mistrust that and understand where does the money come from, and even more important, who's the owner structure and what do these people want? Do you think Bloomberg cares at all if he makes a few million more or less? No, he cares about Elon and making sure Elon can't get any leg up with Bloomberg. So very important. That's why you have to watch Herbert and Joe and not these people. It's just corrupted.
When I was just at the recent takeover event in California a couple months ago, and we hung out with a journalist who kept asking me from Bloomberg, how much money are you paid by X? Well, X is obviously owned by Elon. Elon bought Twitter, turned it into X. And then their assumption is that, people like, us who are influencers are getting paid a lot of money by Elon. And I was like, what made you think that? Like, I get paid, but you get paid. I make a couple $100 every 2 weeks on X. Is that a lot? You get paid more than I do. You got your blue badge. This is a open source, you test X open source, how they pay, who they pay, and there's no favoritism over one or another. Or, I don't know a single person who are Tesla influencers that are getting paid a lot of money, more so than anybody who's done it. But I think the reason she's asking is because she knows that that's the way it works on
And also,
her
it's
side.
funny. That's a funny story because we also have to understand the mindset of corporate America, including the analysts, the bankers, and the journalists, is a mindset that we can't even relate to, and they can't relate to our mindset.
Right.
Why am I doing my channel? Why are you doing it? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a YouTube entrepreneur. I don't need YouTube to make money. That's not the point. I do this to build pioneer lands, to have great people and prepare for the age of AGI. There is no hidden agenda to make $1,000. That's stupid. I make much more by trading Tesla and sharing my knowledge, right? So,
Yeah.
but these minds, the corporate minds, cannot comprehend that people do stuff because they're excited about it and want to make something happen. It's
That's
complete.
interesting.
They
Yeah.
think you're lying. It's like, what? That must
I
be a
know.
lie.
I mean, so I'm a startup guy that is so enthralled with Apple and Steve Jobs and now Tesla and Elon Musk because of the business minds and the products. And I'm so excited about humanoid robots and technology. And I love to interview people and talk to people. So I did this without intention of making money out of it. And of course, the channel blew up and things are looking good. But that's not why I'm driven. People think, oh, he's just does things. I'd be doing this.
Get clicks.
I did this because I was preparing for myself for retirement, and I'm like, what do I want to do? Like, what happens if AI and all that? Now, I think this job will be replaced by AI easily, but it's like, yeah, I would be doing this. I'd still be wanting to talk to you as often as I can and just talk about the future, right? You and I love talking about the future. We love talking about what's going to happen now.
And
How's it going to impact all of us?
I can tell, you can just tell. I knew that was your mindset. Larry, I can tell he's not doing it to get clicks. Steve
Larry
Mark
doesn't
Ryan,
need to do it. Yeah.
He made all his money in real estate and Tesla shares.
Startups.
What do you think of course he likes to make money. I like that I get a couple of $1,000 and I can pay my editor and don't bleed money all the time. I like that, of course, but that's not the purpose. If you look at the portfolio and the total sources of income, it's completely marginal, of course.
Yeah.
That's not the reason. I had this revelation some time ago. If I sell a company and make $1 billion or 10 billion, make it 10 billion,
Mm-hmm.
what would I do? And the answer is I would do exactly what I'm doing
What
now.
you did
And then
now.
it struck
Exactly.
me like, why would I wait? Why would I try to make 10 billion if I can do this now?
Yeah.
Just to do the exact same thing. I can skip the 10 billion, take the money I have
Yeah.
now. It's enough to live off and do some trading and be happy and do exactly what I actually want to do. Build pioneer lands, find the smartest people, and prepare for the age of AGI, because that's going to be a shit show, and we better be prepared. And of course, a Doomberg journalist is just not going to comprehend. They're going to say, Herbert, what are you? What? No, how much do they pay you?
Nothing. So let's talk about the robot abundance future. You don't think that Elon's right about this coming robot abundance future?
I think this is a fascinating topic because, yeah, I think he's completely wrong. And I also think Elon is very, very smart. And if he would be forced to honestly think about this for half a second, he would agree
he's
with
thought
me.
about it. But okay,
but he doesn't. He's not forced to think honestly about it. He just thinks, "What do I want, Elon? I want total robot domination, and yeah, it's going to be amazing." Well, why would he say anything else? Because there's only upside in him saying it. For him, it's going to be amazing. But if you would force him critically, Elon, so how is this exactly going to work? And force him to be like, put his governance hat on, it's like, well, of course, it's going to be a little bit of a shit show. So I think we have to understand all these great entrepreneurs, they're definitely not dummies, but that's also true for people Elon fans don't like. It's true for Sam Altman and Zuckerberg. They're all not dummies. And they always say what's in their best interest, including Elon. Only that I think Elon is a good guy and has the best interest of everyone kind of in mind long term. But we should not forget that in the short term, Elon has his his interest, and his interest is to go full on into robots and AGI. And the last thing he wants is that humanity gets all up in arms against it. Whereas my job is more to be a little objective and say, well, there are good sides and bad sides. And this abundance talk is just completely not first principles.
So let's describe what you mean, though. You're talking about not that there's going to be so much robots out there and that's the future. Robots are coming. You're saying whether or not that we're going to have an abundant future, whether or not that the robots will be able to deliver low cost, low energy, low labor, near zero labor. Therefore, prices of everything falls, and everybody will humanity. He called it like high abundant income, right? Like everybody will get paid
high income,
universal high income, not just universal basic income. And but he did say, but he has said that I think he has said over 50% chance it's going to be positive and 50% chance negative. I think he switched it now to 80% chance it's going to be abundant future, 20% chance not. But
well,
are
Elon
you saying that that's not what's going to happen?
Elon also told, like, I'm just to be straight about Elon. I'm a big Elon fan. I think we can be very happy if he has the most power and not certain other people. So I'm all for Elon. Okay. I'm not all for it, but I'm 90% for Elon. 10%, I just keep my critical hat on. I'm not for anyone else. But we have to understand, Elon was the guy in 2015 who said, ooh, ASI is going to kill us all. We need to create OpenAI. We need to do something. It's going to be very, very bad. So is that now changed? No, it's not really changed in Elon's mind. He knows, okay, there's enormous risk, but I am great. I'm the great Elon. I will wing it. I have no clue how, but I want to have all the power so I can figure it out. That's the plan, which is not a plan, by the way. So that is Elon's thinking about the ASI doom, right? The extinction level risk. He's still saying, well, yeah, there's like an enormous extinction level risk, but I just think because I'm Elon, better I control the whole thing and I will figure it out than other people. And I understand from his perspective that this makes sense, but it's still accelerationist, which is dangerous. So I don't want to talk about ASI doom too much because that's too far out. But on the robot side, when it comes to abundance, I just want everyone to put their critical hat on and not think in random abstractions, but in concrete terms. If by 2028, we lose 60 to 80% of all white collar and administrative jobs, which we might, even if it's half of that, it's a complete disaster. What exactly do you think is going to happen? So this abundance theory, okay, fine. Now Microsoft makes enormous margins and productivity improvement and XAI and OpenAI. But there are like 40 million Americans unemployed or 80 million unemployed in 2028. How exactly does this abundance in XAI or Microsoft translate into their pocket if you're sitting in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia as a single mom and don't have a job and no one has a job? So it's low resolution thinking to say, oh, there's just abundance. It's going to be great. Okay, explain to me how the Microsoft dollar or the Tesla dollar for a non-shareholder wanders into the pocket of that random unemployed person in Philadelphia or wherever, right? You can't. And the answer is, well, the government has to give them money. And then people say, oh, the government is going to tax Tesla. Really? So in 2028, how is this even going to? So what bill? Who puts this bill into Congress? Who votes on that? What do you think all the Republicans are going to say? They're going to say, oh, everyone is going to leave America. We can't just tax the hell out of our corporations. So it's not going to happen, at least not in 2028. So there's no money. So then you have to think it through. What happens next? They have to print the money. Then we have inflation, blah, blah, blah. So that's these scenarios need to be thought through. And then this idea, the end point in 2050 or whatever, we have total abundance, is low resolution thinking. Because can we even get there if we have a civil war or an implosion before, or communism, whatever? And so we have to, this is not, I want to just get the message out. That's why we have Pioneer Lands. This is all not a theory anymore. You're not in college debating with your roommate what happens when ASI comes. AGI is here as we speak. We're here. It's happening now, and we need to answer these questions now. What's happening next year? Do you think there's a bill in Congress to put a tax on robots? Forget it. It's never going to happen anytime soon. But the other stuff is going to happen. And then what? That's the alpha we are generating on a macro level. Like, we need to be smart and predict this stuff now in the next 36 months, because there will be enormous displacements in the economy And I always see it pragmatically as a pioneer, like whatever, I can't change certain things, but if I predict it right, we can get prepared, we can make enormous trades and investments, and we can help people prepare. So they are not the victims of this whole thing. That's what we need to focus on.
Okay, understood. Now you've explained that well. I mean, it's going to be lumpy, and you're just saying that you think that the disruption, where it's going to be mass layoffs, which is possibly going to happen. Now, if you only have 1 million robots by 2030, million, it's not. That's if that's the case. Many of the robot companies are promising the moon, but we all kind of reduce our price numbers of expectation. That's not enough to really make tremendous, maybe the white collar because of AI could be the case,
Yeah.
but you called it robot abundance. I was just focusing on the robot part of it.
I mean, robots,
but if it's
I think
white collar,
that's also what people get wrong, that the AGI disruption, which is massively faster than robots because it's just, cloud, is as big as the robots, and it's happening now. The robots are just the second wave that then wipes out the blue collar stuff. So we have enough, we can learn about the robots by just facing the disaster now. So, that will be interesting.
Yep, understood. So that's why you're saying that, the chance of us getting to an abundant future in general, but it's a dream and maybe hard to get there. And he's selling that potential.
What rubs me the wrong way with this abundant, future is it's just low resolution thinking of either people who are not too good at thinking or people who are like Elon, have a completely different agenda and say, well, I only have upside. Making it about abundance.
I wouldn't position it that way. He said many times before, okay, in order to get in, the only way, okay, so AI is dangerous. He said that. He's not step back on that. It is dangerous and it's going to happen. So we need to create XAI so that we can at least have some, make it open source so everybody has access to it. You don't want one country, one company having access to it, not others. And then he is now changed the mission for Tesla to be about sustainable abundance. That's just a mission. That's the future. He's not promising it. It's like, hey, he's saying, okay, we need to work on this. This is what our goal is, to get us somehow there. But it's lumpy. It's going to be terrible. Maybe we'll never get there, but it's just
Elon
a mission for me.
CEO and founder and great pioneer and entrepreneur. And as such, he's doing everything right. He's doing exactly the right thing. But Elon has also become kind of the leader of Earth a little bit, right? But he's not fully aware of that. And in that function, he's not totally perfectly executing because it's not his main focus. But as a responsible leader of Earth, you have to prepare that better. Okay. But he's like,
I'm not sure I agree with that. Yeah,
I need to
he tried to go and fix the government in the United States, and he said that it's unfixable now. But so he said we're doomed. He said we are doomed. If he was just quoted last week, says if we can't make robots and AI doesn't help us, then we are doomed. And that's the only way he thinks that we can get there. So
maybe it's not. I'm not even criticizing Elon. I think he does kind of everything right. We just have to be cautious. What we view Elon as. Gotcha. Elon is not our...
He may not be able to solve everything, as much as he wants to. He's not our
national leader and Jesus, even though many of us think that. He's not, he doesn't tell us he is that. He is the CEO of Tesla and CEO of all these things. And he's doing a great job. And this is a very complicated job and he's working great on it. But I think too many people on X just think he's just Jesus. And he's just going to solve all problems. If he says abundance, I don't have to worry. It's going to be all fine. It's like, no.
Right. Okay. I see your point.
That's
okay. This deserves you and I to have a much bigger conversation. This is fun, but it's important. It's not just fun because it's scary. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, but this is my bottom line here. This is very important that you pushed back a little bit to clarify this. I'm not criticizing Elon. I think we should be very grateful to what he does. We just have to understand what is Elon's role. His role is not to be Jesus. Maybe on Mars. But now it's like you can't just say Elon said it, so everything will be fine. Like, no, Elon has a lot of work. He's trying to do this. We still have to watch out for all kinds of stuff that Elon can't control, like society, elections, leadership, education. These are all things that are completely unhinged right now. And Elon is not going to fix them because he doesn't even want to, because he says, I have to focus on the robots and AI and Tesla and all these things. And
he wants to, but he can't. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Joe. That was great. If you guys enjoyed that last bit here conversation, go check out pioneerlands.net. If you enjoyed the first bit of this conversation today, go check out his YouTube channel. That's where we got all these topics. He covered each of those in shows. Thank you so much, Joe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.